Today on Commander Replay, a battle will begin, a destiny will be filled, the legend will be born. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the Scorpion God. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're playing some Scorpion God. And I wasn't originally going to film this game, but once I saw the opponents, I feel like this is going to be a really interesting game, so we're filming. Opening hand, we took our free mulligan, and a couple lands in our starting hand, and a Wheel of Fortune with a few other good things. Anyway, the reason that I think this is going to be a really fun game, we have Zozu the Punisher as one of our opponents. 3 mana 2/2. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, Zozu the Punisher deals 2 damage to that land's controller. And on the far side, we have Karamitra, God of Harvests, who is a legendary god. It's indestructible. It's 6/7 for 5 mana, and whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or plains. If you've ever faced a Karamitra deck, you know that they have the ability to generate, on turn 5 or 6, they can have 10 or more lands easily. So I think this is going to be really interesting with Zozu the Punisher. And then finally in the middle, we have a Sliver Queen deck. 5 colors, never really sure what they're up to, but we'll see what kind of deck it is later in the game, I'm sure. So we draw a mountain. I'm going to cycle the Forgotten Cave into another land, no big deal. So we'll drop down our mountain, tap out and pass. Also, Zozu the Punisher already has a Valakut the Molten Pinnacle into play, so later in the game they'll be able to ping down creatures and start draining opponents' life. And Lightning Greaves for the Zozu. So Sliver Queen had a Noble Hierarch on turn 1, and their turn 2 they follow up with a Finthorn Elves, all the mana dorks, and a Sol Ring, lots of mana. So Sliver Queen is off, and an Imperial Seal, oh boy. So Sliver Queen is off to a really good start. No idea what they're going to Imperial Seal for. So Karamitra, God of Harvest, coming into play. We draw a Temple of Malice. I'm not going to cast the Wheel of Fortune right here. There's a lot of good things in our hand. I really like the Ugin. I really like the Sidisi, and Flayer of the Hatebound is also decent. So I'm just going to go with the Temple of Malice right here. Get our Scry. We have a mountain on top. Yeah, I guess we'll stay with the mountain. We have a lot of expensive, powerful things in our hand. So I think it makes sense to just keep making land drops. I can't help but wonder if the Imperial Seal that the opponent used is for something like a Wheel of Fortune. Zozu the Punisher coming into play. So it's going to be very painful to start playing lands. Opponent equips up the Zozu with the Lightning Greaves. Swings in at the Sliver Queen opponent. Puts him down to 34 to Commander. And first Zozu trigger going on the stack. Gonna auto-yield that, so I don't have to click it every single time. And Sliver Queen down to 32. Oh, Enduring Ideal for the Sliver Queen. That's funny. So apparently it's an Enduring Ideal deck. Oh, we'll see where this goes. We do have this Ugin, so all the opponents are commenting on the Enduring Ideal. Starts off with a Paradox Haze, makes sense. They'll get 2 triggers on each of their following turns at their upkeep. I'm surprised Paradox Haze hasn't seen more play in Modern with kind of tricky things. I know Modern's a very fast format, but Paradox Haze is actually a pretty powerful card, giving a player 2 upkeeps. Knighthood, creatures you control have first strike. For the Karamitra opponent, Yamavaya Elder coming into play. Karamitra trigger, finds a land, and gets a Zozu trigger. Man, our hand is so slow. Yeah, nothing much we can do, just fortunately our commander's 5. We take a Zozu hit down to 37, and we're just going to tap out and pass. The reason I haven't played Urborg yet is just because when you play Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, it really slows the game down in Magic Online, because instead of being able to click your basic lands just immediately, you have to right-click them and choose the mana type. It really kind of lags the game and just makes it much slower for people to cast things. So I'm going to hold that in my hand as long as I can. Solemn Simulacrum coming in for the Zozu. So Zozu hit himself with 2 triggers this turn. Puts the boots on the Simulacrum. And swinging in full at the Sliver Queen opponent, and rightly so, because who knows what's coming down with that Enduring Ideal. So Sliver Queen down to 28 for commander damage. Moves the boots back to Zozu. Enduring Ideal with a Paradox Haze trigger, so gonna copy the epic spell, get to search for another enchantment. Finds a Sterling Grove, other enchantments have Shroud, and they can sacrifice Sterling Grove to search for an enchantment card, reveal it, and put it on top of their library. And Greater Oromancy, so opponent is very heavily shrouded on their enchantments. Fortunately, we're still sitting on this Ugin, but we're still some mana away from the Ugin. There's a chance that on this turn, I'm thinking I play the Sidisi, find a Mana Crypt or Sol Ring. Okay, so back to our turn. So right here, I'm going to play our Sidisi, get an Exploit trigger. Sacrifice it, EC. So that way we can go tutor. And we're going to grab our Mana Crypt. This will give us the ability to cast Ugin next turn. Right now, I'm also banking on the fact that Zozu is not going to play a Wheel of Fortune right here. I didn't want to run the Mana Crypt out this turn just because life is going to be precious in this match, because every time we play a land, we're going to be losing life to the Zozu. When you have those Punisher type effects like that, life is really precious, so I wanted to save the Mana Crypt damage for one turn if I can. Opponent plays a Basilisk Collar, so now that's actually a really good combo. So now Zozu's going to be gaining a lot of life for all the lands that come into play. Seems pretty good. Zozu coming in at us, nothing much we can do about it. So we'll take the damage. Down to 33. So Paradox Haze and Enduring Ideal going on the stack. Assemble the Legion for the Sliver Queen opponent. That's actually really good with Paradox Haze. The biggest problem with Assemble the Legion is you don't usually get enough turns to make it really effective, but with Paradox Haze out, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And a doubling season. Oy. So opponent gets a bunch of hasty tokens. It gets 4 of them, actually. Swings the tokens back at Zozu. I have to say, I'm actually really impressed with the Sliver Queen's deck. 5-color Enduring Ideal is pretty interesting. A lot of synergy with the Paradox Haze, the Assemble the Legion, and Doubling Season. I think next turn they would get 8 tokens? Is that right? No, I think they would get even more than that. So they would get 3 doubled, that's 6. And they would get another upkeep, that's 4 doubled, 8. So wow, they're going to get 14 tokens next turn. Yeah, we definitely need to lay down our Ugin, otherwise this game's going to get out of control. Martial Coup destroys all creatures, and Karamitra gets some tokens. So finally we're going to play our Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth because we need an untapped land, and we're going to play our Mana Crypt. Play our Ugin. Looks like 5 mana is the highest that we need to sweep for, so sweep for 5. And somehow there's a Wheel of Fate. Oh, Zozu exiled the Wheel of Fate. Opponents with a lot of comments about the enchantments and the Ugin. Opponent plays a Fiery Confluence. They're going to destroy the Sol Ring. Going to destroy 2 Sol Rings, actually, and kill our Ugin. As much as killing Ugin is usually the right play, Ugin is a repeatable answer to the Enduring Ideal, and I'm not sure that getting rid of it was necessarily the best thing, but it is very difficult to leave an opposing Ugin on the board. So Zozu gets a Valakut trigger, and fires at the Sliver Queen. Plays a Smuggler's Copter. Enduring Ideal going on the stack. And that's a Hive Mind. That's not great. So if we Wheel of Fortune, things are going to get really crazy. 4 Wheel of Fortunes, that's 28 cards. Yeah, that's a good chunk. It's a good chunk of people's deck. Acidic Slime coming in. Kills the Valakut and not the Hive Mind. That is a questionable choice. So back to our turn, we get a Mana Crypt trigger. We'll go with heads right here. We lost the flip. We get a Foreboding Ruins. Right here, I think it's just worth playing our Scorpion God. Commander! We could put this Glistening Oil on the Acidic Slime. I don't know that there's specifically a reason to do that yet. Since we overtapped our mana a little bit, we will put a -1/-1 counter on the Acidic Slime. Just in case it dies, we'll draw an extra card out of the deal. And we have to reset where our Scorpion God is going. We're going to send it to the graveyard instead of the command zone. And then finally, we will play our Foreboding Ruins tapped. So Wheel of Fate ticking down. I'd really like to see the Zozu come back into play, just because of the punishment it'll put on the Karamitra opponent. There's a Wheel of Fortune that's going to get copied 3 more times. Oh boy. Yeah, and then after the Wheel of Fate, oh boy. This game's going to get out of control. We might get milled. So there's a bunch of cards we can't do anything with. There's a Back to Nature, destroy all enchantments. That's pretty good. That'll keep us from getting milled out, actually. So that's nice. Here's a bunch more cards we can't do anything with. Those are going to go to the graveyard. Oh, Rise of the Dark Realms. That's the one we want. Oh, man. Oh, that sucks. I don't think we have a way to get it back either. That is definitely the card we wanted. More cards we can't do anything with. What happened to my commander? Okay, I have absolutely no idea what happened to our commander, but he's back in the command zone. There's a Vandal Blast. That wouldn't do it. Oh, probably the Swords to Plowshares. Makes sense. And finally, this is the hand that we'll get to keep. So we have a Sol Ring, Desert. Gives us 2 things we can do. We have this Grim Poppet. So Enduring Ideal on the stack. Opponent brings in a Telepathy. Oh boy, so now we can all see each other's hands. Telepathy is a really weird card because as soon as someone has a board sweeper, no one wants to play anything. So our opponents have a Duplicant, a Grenzo, a Harsh Mentor, an Unstable Obelisk. Other opponent has a Tormod's Crypt, Leyline of Sanctity, Herald of Anafenza, and Breath of Life. Breath of Life probably pretty good in this situation because The graveyards are very full. Could always get the Eternal Witness and then Breath of Life again. Not a terrible plan. Silk Lash Spider, decent. Still 2 counters left on the Wheel of Fate. There's a Replenish. That Replenish, return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Although all their stuff got exiled, so not a big deal at the moment. And they can't actually cast it, so no worries on the Replenish, but good combo card. Leyline of Sanctity. Opponent has Hexproof. And a Tormod's Crypt. So back to our turn, we get a Mana Crypt trigger. We'll go with Tails. And we won the flip. Draw a Barrenmoor. So we have 2 come into play tap lands. We'll go with the one that is more expensive to cycle. Next, we'll play the Sol Ring, play the Fell Warstone, play Archfiend, play our Swiftfoot Boots, and put our boots on the Archfiend. And we will swing into the Sliver Queen opponent. So we did a pretty good job of emptying our hand out right there, which will set us up for this Wheel of Fate when that finally comes down. So Sliver Queen down to 15, Wheel of Fate down to 1 counter, so that'll come in next turn, and it'll be more wheeling through our deck. Frenzied Fugue for our opponent. Interesting card. I haven't really gotten a chance to try it out yet. Harsh Mentor coming into play. We definitely should have cycled in response to that, but that's going to pain us for 2. Actually, we might be okay because it's in our hand, it's not in play. Grenzo Havoc Razor coming into play. Cruise up the Smuggler's Copter. So Grenzo coming in on us, and Smuggler's Copter going after the Karamitra opponent. No blocks for us. Grenzo gets some triggers. Gonna exile the top cards of our library and our opponent's library. Hits our Necro Skitter. Probably not super relevant to the Zozu opponent. Surprised the Avatar of Fury didn't come in, because that's only 2 mana to cast. He could have thrown the boots on it and really gotten in for a lot of damage. So opponent decides to play our Necro Skitter, and Avatar of Fury coming into play. So Sliver Queen's turn. They get a copy of Enduring Ideal. Solitary Confinement. Skip your draw step. You have Shroud. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. Oh, that's a problem. That's a really big problem. Opponent has 7 cards in hand too, so it's going to take a while for that to go away. Question is what to do on our turn, because anything that's left over in our hand is going to get caught by the Wheel of Fate. We want to get as many good things into play as we can. Unfortunately, I wish the opponent had Zozu back in play just to keep punishing the Karamitra. Although Karamitra is down to 17. Oh, so when we go to discard, it's going to put a bunch of -1/-1 counters on all of our opponent's creatures, and that's going to kill all of our opponent's stuff, so that's actually really good. So we won't need the Black Sun Zenith. The Grim Poppet will be okay. Now, if we play our Scorpion God, we'll draw a bunch of cards in response to that, so I think we're going to want to get our Scorpion God back into play. There will be a problem with the Necro Skitter. So we'll need to do something about the Necro Skitter, because there is a Path to Exile in hand for the Karamitra opponent. Karamitra going to combat against the Zozu, and gets in for 6. So back to our turn, we forgot to cycle. Might be okay though. So we choose Tails on the Mana Crypt, we won the flip, we get a land. So we'll play our Scalding Tarn, crack the Scalding Tarn. Oops, we get hit with the Harsh Mentor. Auto that trigger, so we're going to be losing some life. Opponent decides to crack Yamavaya Elder, they're also getting hit with the Harsh Mentor. So get our Badlands. Alright, right here. So we need to kill that Necro Skitter. I think Grim Poppet's going to be the best way to do that. Or how much is our commander? Commander's 7. How much mana do we have? So that's 11, 12, 13, 14. We have 14 mana. Okay, so I think we just play the Scorpion God.
Do you smell what the rock is cooking?
We'll cycle this Barrenmoor just to see what happens. Oh, and the Necro Skitter is going to work. So Acidic Slime comes back into play. Actually, hopefully they get rid of the Solitary Confinement. Okay, yeah. Oh, that worked out beautifully. So Acidic Slime comes back to play for the Zozu. They're going to get rid of Solitary Confinement. We're going to draw a card with the Scorpion God. We draw a land. Then we're going to draw a card off the cycling, and we draw another land. No big deal there. So then finally, we'll put a bunch of -1/-1 counters on the Necro Skitter. Actually, that doesn't even matter anymore, because the only thing left for our opponent is the Herald of Anafenza. I think we just pass right here, and we'll just leave up the mana. We could have gotten the Grim Poppet down, which probably would have been the better play, but I'm actually pretty happy with where we're at right now. So as soon as this Wheel of Fate comes in, if it gets not cast for somehow, that's a problem, but... So, Path to Exile on our Scorpion God, so we're not going to get to draw the additional cards. We will get a land, though. So bring a Swamp into play. Here comes the Wheel of Fate! We get a whole bunch of Archfiend triggers. And, ooh, we draw a Torment of Hailfire. That's really good. Especially we have a ton of mana right now. So, Necro Skitter triggers. Opponent's going to get the Herald of Anafenza back into play. And we get the rest of our Archfiend triggers. Nice. So we brought this Avatar of Fury all the way down to a 1/1. What did our opponents draw? This is Maze of Ith in there. That's always a pain. Memory Jar and Mind's Eye, and then a bunch of lands. And then the Karamitra drew Sword of Fire and Ice, Sword of Body and Mind, a Rift Sweeper, Phantom Neshoba, Elixir of Mortality, and a Crater Hoof Behemoth. Oh boy. Karamitra has some land. They don't have millions of lands yet, so that's good. I'm gonna crew up the Smuggler's Copter. So it turns out Archfiend of Ifnir with wheel effects, pretty good. Smuggler's Copter swinging into the Karamitra. Mind's Eye coming in for the Zozu player. Copy of Enduring Ideal going on the stack for Sliver Queen. You still need to be careful of the Crater Hoof Behemoth. That's a real problem. So Mana Crypt on the stack for the Karamitra opponent, which is really good. I just did the math on our Torment of Hailfire. We have 15 mana, so we could get X13. Opponent had 11 total cards between cards in their hand and permanents in play that they could sacrifice. They did not lose the Mana Crypt flip, so that's bad. I was hoping they'd lose that flip, because they become much closer to lethal if they did, although they do cast their Elixir of Immortality, so they'll get some life back. So Sword of Body and Mind coming down. Phantom Neshoba coming down, gets a Karamitra trigger. Do we cast the Puncture Bolt right here? I don't know. I think we do, just to make use of our mana. Let's see. So we can hit for 5 in the air and then 3 more. That's 8. That puts them down to 12. They have 4 cards in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards in play. So they can negate 10. They can negate 10 of our Torment of Hellfire triggers, which would mean 3 triggers would get through, doing 9 damage. 8 plus 9, that puts them at 3, which means they could die to their... No, because their Mana Crypt would already be sacrificed. So let's try it. If we find another land, it might do it. Oh, opponent has Shroud. That's not going to work. Bummer. Alright, well, we'll just throw the Puncture Bolt at the Neshoba then, just in case that sticks around for any reason. So, Mana Crypt on the stack for us. Oh, the opponent says what would be more annoying, all enchantments or all curses. That'd be a funny deck. We draw a land. Land is good. Opponent gets a Mind's Eye trigger. Pays for it. So, drop our land. Attack with Archfiend at the Karamitra. And... we don't even need to crack our fetch. Fire up this Torment of Hailfire for as much as we can. X is 14. Let's see what happens. I haven't actually played this card yet, so let's see how this pans out. Biggest thing is we need to not die to the Crater Hoof Behemoth. Alright, so Crater Hoof Behemoth's in the graveyard. That's a really good thing. That's the thing that was going to kill us, so very happy to see that. So Karamitra put their entire hand into the graveyard, sacrifices their commander, Leyline of Sanctity down, Phantom Neshoba down, nice. So Sliver Queen is out of the game, now at -3. So Sliver Queen down, finally. Karamitra survives at 3 life, with no hand, and Zozu's still alive with 3 cards and 11 life. Nice. So Torment of Hailfire didn't just end the game, but still very powerful, and did a lot of good things for us. Now, the Zozu opponent did have a lot of life, so they were able to just take a lot of the life loss. So it wasn't quite as impactful to them. Torment seems to work best when your opponent's at 20 life or less, and you can really fire it up. Then they really have to start sacrificing permanents and discarding cards. So Jaya Ballard comes into play, has Shroud, Death Touch, Haste, and Lifelink, in addition to its regular abilities. Opponent decides to draw a card with the Mind's Eye. Yamavaya Elder sacks it for some lands and the draw card. Mind's Eye triggers again. So Mana Crypt on the stack for us. Choose Tails. We lost the flip, so we're going down to 20. There's an Everlasting Torment. That seems pretty good. Mind's Eye trigger for the Zozu. So cast the Scorpion God. Now a whopping 9. Ooh, for 9 mana. Barely seems worth it. So Scorpion God coming into play. Let's get down this Everlasting Torment. That way opponents can't gain life. Sad face from our opponent. So the can't gain... Looks like they were going to try to get their way out of it with lifelink on Jaya Ballard with the 6 damage to each creature in player ability. So that looks like it's going to do some work for us. We'll move our boots around. Put the boots on the Scorpion God. Let's get down to the attacks. Scorpion God into the Karamitra and Archfiend into the Zozu. The Archfiend will probably get Maze of Ith, unless they forget about it. Yep, Maze of Ith on the Archfiend. So Karamitra finally goes down. And now it's just Zozu left. And they are down to 6 life. So we're in a pretty good spot. Right now I'm going to run out the Phyrexian Arena, so we get a little bit of extra card draw. Make sure we have all the resources we need. But yeah, the Everlasting Torment, I think, is what just sealed this up for us, because opponent was going to gain a lot of life with the Jaya Ballard. So Jaya Ballard does 3 damage to the Archfiend. The Archfiend goes down, but because damage was dealt as it has Wither, we get to draw a card off of the Scorpion God ability. We draw a Bojuka Bot. Also, with the opponent now being at 6, they can't activate the 6 damage each creature in player ability, because that would kill them. Jay Ballard coming into us. Nothing we can do about it. We go down to 18. Although, surprised the opponent didn't leave the blocker up. Unless they have something else. Oh, there's a Blasphemous Act. So we're going to get to draw some cards with the Scorpion God. Opponent's going to get to draw some cards with the Mind's Eye as well. Looks like we're drawing all lands. So Scorpion God to our graveyard. And that's going to come back to our hand. Back to our turn, we get a Phyrexian Arena and a Mana Crypt trigger. Lost the flip, down to 15. Draw another card and go down to 14. Draw a Nest of Scarabs. And opponent's going to draw some cards with the Mind's Eye. Draw a Grim Tutor. Opponent's going to draw more cards. So first things first, we will try just casting our Commander, putting some boots on, and swinging in for the win. So Commander back into play. Equip the boots, go to combat. This should do it. And opponent says good game. So we got there. So, like I said, I didn't plan on actually filming this match, but as soon as I saw Zozu versus Karamitra, I knew it was going to be a really interesting game. This is only my second game with the Scorpion God, but it's been a ton of fun, actually. It's stronger than I thought it would be. There's a decent number of cards that synergize well. Archfiend of Ifnir is really powerful in this deck, but you get a lot of incidental advantage out of the Scorpion God with its graveyard ability where you don't have to keep paying commander tax, and also the fact that you randomly draw cards here and there when creatures die. That incidental value adds up over the course of a long game. Make sure you keep hitting land drops and keep having fuel in your hand and things like that. But the deck's been a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to keep messing around with it. I know the build that I'm running is not perfectly tuned yet. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where this deck wants to go, but it's been a ton of fun and I've really enjoyed it. And it's also pretty unique. It doesn't feel like a lot of other black-red decks, in my opinion. So it's pretty cool. You guys should totally check this one out. If you guys have a Scorpion God deck, let me know what kind of things you focus on in your particular build. And as always, if you like this video, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.